Good morning. So again, today we're looking at Staying Sober by Gorski and Miller. And today they're talking about the progression of addiction. And they break it down into three stages. The early stage, where there's growing tolerance and dependency on the drugs or alcohol that someone's using. The middle stage, which is a progressive loss of control, or the chronic stage, where it's marked by deterioration of biopsychosocial health. And I'm really interested in the middle stage because I think that we get a lot of questions about when did you know that you had a problem? And it's the middle stage where that problem really starts to show up. So in the early stage, they describe that as a stage where it is difficult for people in the early stage to recognize they're addicted because they can, quote unquote, handle their liquor or marijuana or Valium. The earliest warning sign then is actually thwarts early diagnosis because it conceals the problem. While most diseases create immediate impairments in functioning, this disease, addiction, appears in the early stage as a benefit, enabling the affected person to enjoy the euphoria of drug use without paying any of the penalties. This reminded me a lot of myself when I first started drinking. Unlike a lot of my friends, I didn't experience really bad hangovers. And so we could go out and get loaded the night before and then wake up the next morning and I would be fine. They would all be really hurting. And they would all say, because of that hurt, well, I'm not drinking tonight. But I didn't experience that. So to me, the party could continue. And wonder sometimes whether that goes back to what I talked about yesterday, the way that the liver metabolizes alcohol differently for alcoholics than it does for other people. But don't have the answer to that question. So we'll move on to the middle stage. The middle stage of addiction then is marked by progressive loss of control as the person is no longer able to use the same quantities without becoming intoxicated or creating problems. Not using begins to create pain. The drug is used to relieve the pain created by not using. The addicted person is unable to function normally without the drug. And if I had to answer the question, when did you know you had a problem? It was early. It was early on in my use. But I think a really good answer is what they say right here. The drug is used to relieve the pain created by not using. And I remember the first time that I ever drank to chase away the pain of a hangover. I remember it very well because I remember in that moment when I decided to do that, thinking to myself, this is not good. You're stepping onto a slippery slope here. And indeed, that was the beginning of a very problematic period in my life where I continually used alcohol to try to chase away the pain of using alcohol. So that's the middle stage. And the further description that they go on to here is that family and friends begin to notice problems with the person's job, health, marriage, and legal matters. They're apt to believe, however, that the person is just behaving irresponsibly. They're not aware that the addicted person is not choosing the problem behavior. It is part of the disease. The person cannot, through willpower, choose to drink or use responsibly. The only alternative to continued problems and progression of the disease process is treatment and total abstinence. So the middle stage is where a lot of us got stuck for a while, I think, and where we were skirting the really problematic parts of the third stage. The third stage is the chronic stage of addiction, where it's marked by deterioration, psychological, physical, behavioral, social, and spiritual. All body systems can be affected at this stage. Brain, liver, heart, digestive system, mood swings are common. As life becomes more and more drug-centered, there is less and less control over behavior. So it's almost like one of those science fiction movies where your body, your mind become overtaken by a parasite that just directs your behavior. That's what this final stage is like. And that's what life was like for me in the final stages of my addiction. Everything I did was just driven by drug and alcohol centered behavior. And it really, looking back, I was more of an automaton trying to complete tasks in order to get to drugs and alcohol than I was a person making real quality life decisions and things like that. So those are the three stages that they discuss, and I liked this because the description of the middle stage really stuck out to me as a good answer of when did you know you had the problem. And it's in that middle stage that I started to say, man, I'm not, as me and one of my friends said one time when we were at a party, I don't think these people drink for the same reasons we do. And that's when I started to realize that maybe I was drinking a little bit different than everybody else around me. So tomorrow we'll get into delusional thinking and the addiction cycle. So more to come on that. In the meantime, hope you all have a beautiful Sunday.